Autism has historically been seen as a condition that affects boys, but it's now becoming widely recognised that autism in women and girls has been significantly underdiagnosed.
Yeah, now campaigners are calling for health professionals to have a better understanding of the condition because they fear women with autism aren't getting the help that they need. Here's Breakfast's Graham Satchell.
Millie is 14 and was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome 2 years ago. She finds it hard to socialise, to make eye contact, to form relationships.
I find it really difficult to make friends because I find people very, very difficult, and I find it hard to understand people a lot in the way that they feel or what they mean. And this leads me to feel embarrassed, and I feel like I should just get out of everyone's way just for convenience.
Autism has been seen as a condition that mainly affects boys and men, but now evidence suggests autism in girls and women is being significantly underdiagnosed. Emily is 29. Like many women with autism, she says she masked her symptoms, copying rather than fully understanding social norms.
When you meet me, I don't come across necessarily on first glance as being autistic. I will come into work perfectly, get through the day perfectly, and then I'll go home, quiet, dark room. I'll be non-verbal, so I won't be able to speak, won't be able to communicate, and will take about 4 hours to reset.
The anxiety of coping with day-to-day life led to a series of what Emily calls meltdowns and shutdowns, until she was finally diagnosed last year.
It was basically an instant turning point to get my diagnosis. I'm a radically different person because I understand who I am and how my way of relating to the world might differ, so I can make that something that's successful.
Health professionals are starting to realise that autism in girls and women may be more common than had been thought. In Scotland, guidance has just changed. It now recognises the more nuanced ways girls and women may show signs of the condition.
A teenage girl with autism might, for example, be integrated into a peer group, and often they're talking about how they're, in a way, pretending to be normal. They're trying to fit in with the group, and they are following the same sort of interests that the peer group have got, but perhaps in a more bizarre or unusual way. So when you actually get into the detail, you start to see how this problem is more camouflaged, but still subtly present.
Back in Norfolk, Millie is helping her dad in the garden. For her family, the diagnosis was at first a shock, but that was quickly followed by relief and acceptance.
With that acceptance, there's a lot of really good points as well, that your child, because they look at the world in a completely different way, they can pick up on things that you can't.
She's brilliant, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Isn't she?
She's amazing. There's my concern more than anything else is that when Millie's older, that people are not going to see what I see.
Millie certainly faces some challenges ahead, but she is now getting proper help. The call today from the National Autistic Society is for the diagnosis of girls and women to improve, so many more can also get the help they need. Graham Satchell, BBC News.
Joining us now is Carol Povey from the National Autistic Society. Good morning.
Good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
I think many people will be very surprised, actually, to see just how little progress so far, I suppose, has been made in terms of diagnosis, and that girls are almost falling behind in being recognised, and it's down to a lot to social behaviour and people trying to disguise their being uncomfortable in society. What can be done to improve this?
I think the first thing is we need greater awareness from GPs, teachers, psychologists, the professionals around, to recognise that women and girls may present differently, so they may not fit the stereotype of what they think of as a young autistic boy.
Do you think it's essential that there's a sort of recognition from those who are in this position themselves of what they might be going through? And is that an education process? How do you think there's a solution to that side of it as well?
Do you mean the girls and women
yeah,
themselves
exactly,
to
yeah.
recognise
maybe
that?
if we understood autism perhaps a little better ourselves, and people and family around them will be able to see that as well.
Absolutely. I think that's why diagnosis is very important, because for many women it makes sense of the difficulties that they've had throughout their lives. It helps them to understand themselves and to enable their family, their friends, to give them the support that they may need.
We often talk about the spectrum, though, don't we? And so when it comes to diagnosis, it's actually really hard to figure out, well, do I have autism, or as some people describe it, am I a square peg trying to fit into a round hole? You know, how do you even get to the point where you say, I might be autistic?
Yes, yes. I think that's where the growing awareness is very important, and awareness of autism is growing. Often people don't recognise perhaps the impact that that has on individuals and families, but awareness is growing.
So what would you look at? What should be the things that spark off in your head and say, actually, there might be something going on here?
I mean, autism really is about difficulties in interacting with other people, with communicating. But as Emily very eloquently put in there, girls are often better at hiding it. So so diagnosticians need to get underneath sometimes the most immediate presentation, and certainly it's not always easy. But it is interesting, the guidelines that have come out in Scotland to help diagnosticians to recognise that presentation in women and girls.
And as you're saying as well, I mean, the difference an early diagnosis makes can be huge, can't it?
Massive.
Yeah.
It's an enormous difference. Not only can it help people to get the support and the services that they need, but really to understand themselves. And often women get a misdiagnosis. So often they've been diagnosed wrongly and maybe treated for something that they simply don't have. So accurate, timely diagnosis is absolutely crucial.
Okay, we'll be talking about this a lot more this morning. Thank you very much for joining us, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.